previously on Life.
Personally, as an Israeli Jew, I don't understand why I have more rights here than Palestinians.
They do have the right to return or to choose another place, fully guaranteed according to international law.
We want to plan our lives. Should our kids stay like this forever?
The UN estimate there are 375,000 Palestinian refugees living unwelcome in Lebanon. They and their forebears fled from Israel in 1948. Among the reasons they are unwelcome guests is that their armed struggle to return to Palestine brought about the invasion of Lebanon by Israel and the bombardment of West Beirut in June 1982. This left 18,000 people dead and 30,000 injured. The Palestinian Liberation Organization were forced out of their stronghold in West Beirut. They left Lebanon, and this left the refugees vulnerable. Refugee camps were destroyed, and whole families wiped out.
I've lost 45 members of my extended family. This woman here lost her 5 sons, and the 6th was her husband.
All the Palestinians here, they like to go to our home, to Palestine, not to stay here in Lebanon.
Today, refugees are unwelcome in a land they are desperate to leave.
Brenda, how come you were free to work with us?
Because I'm not working at the moment.
Why is that?
Because I had to leave my last job, which was teaching at AUB, the American University, because I'm Palestinian.
Shatila refugee camp in West Beirut. Here, memories of the massacre are still fresh after nearly 20 years.
It started on the outskirts of Shatila, and it went out all across this area. And what happened was that the Phalange and the Lebanese forces came in under the protection of the Israelis, the Zionists.
تقريبا على الفجر وبلشوا يذبحوا بالعالم، فالمنطقة كانت كلها جثث، ناس أبرياء منهم أطفال.
And they started killing and massacring children and women and all sorts of innocent people, sheikhs, whoever came in their way. They're all innocent and they killed them. And this area right in front of this building, it was filled with bodies, dead bodies.
هاي المنطقة كانت كلها كمان جثث، وهون فاتوا ذبحوا.
All the way through here, this entire area, there were massacres and they were slaughtering people.
اللي فاتوا ذبحوا بالبلطات والسكاكين، شي طفوه، شي عدموه، وهيك.
They came in with knives and axes. They shot them. They killed them in the worst ways possible.
كان عمري 9 سنين.
I was 9 years old.
At least 2,000 Palestinians were killed in Shatila and Sabra refugee camps in 1982. 3 years later, the Israeli army withdrew and the PLO started to return to the camps. Wanting control and fearing this return might provoke Israeli retaliation, the pro-Syrian Amal militia laid siege to the Palestinian refugee camps. This was largely a political struggle. Ibrahim Daoud was one of the Palestinian fighters defending Burj el-Barajni, a camp 5 kilometers south of Beirut.
بالبداية أنا قبل ما أتحدث عن حرب المخيمات في مسألة حاب أنوه لإلها
Well, the camps war was a terrible war, and it was between a brother and a brother, and a heart and a heart, and really both sides lost. The only side that may have won were the Zionists. So to speak about it now, we're reopening old wounds, and we're taking the dead out of the grave.
المخيم الفلسطيني موجود في بقعة هي محسوبة بالمعنى الطائفي إلى الطائفة الشيعية.
The problem is the Palestinians were here. They're Sunni in a predominantly Shiite district. And what they needed to do was purify the district to make it wholly Shia, and that's why they wanted to get rid of them.
بال 85 كان المطروح في لبنان مسألة متعلقة بإقامة الكانتونات.
This problem of sectarianism is not new to Lebanon. It did not start in '85. This is an illness that Lebanon has been suffering from the beginning of the century, when the French came in and they divided Lebanon and the Lebanese government on sectarian lines.
Rooftops in the camps were dangerous places. They were the vantage points for snipers from both sides. When the camps war started, Jihad was engaged to be married. When they finished, she was a mother with 2 children. In her life, she has known 17 years of conflict.
That building over there. This building in particular, that's our young men kept shooting at it to bring it down, or to bring it down partially, because this is where the ML snipers used to shoot our young women and children and men from.
كانوا يطلعوا النسوان يجيبوا أكل عشان كنا متحاصرين بجوعنا.
When we were under siege, the women used to go out to get food for their families because we were starving.
بس توصل المرأة لحدود
And what would happen is the snipers would wait till she was on her way back into the camp and then shoot her in the back. They used to target women.
Dr. Ikhlas Mustafa works in the PLO-funded Haifa hospital in Burj El Barajni refugee camp.
أنا خلصت بال85 وجيت على الهلال كان في بلش الحرب هون.
I came to the Hilal hospital in 1985, and that was just at the beginning of the camps war. And this is where I got my training. And during that period, there were a lot of casualties, there were a lot of injuries, and I learned to deal with all sorts of problems and all sorts of injuries.
Mahida Munir al-Habet, a Palestinian woman 5 months pregnant, has been bleeding. There's concern for the unborn baby.
Okay. الوضع الاجتماعي يعني زوجها ما بيشتغل.
Problem is she has financial difficulties. Her husband doesn't work, and this has caused her health issues and health problems. As a pregnant woman, she's not getting enough nutritional food.
لأنه ما في يعني فلوس إنها يعني تقدر تشتري
And she doesn't have the money to buy the requirements that a pregnant woman needs during her pregnancy. So this is the main issue. So Mahida isn't the only one in this.
يعني she is not the only woman. We have يعني most of the pregnant women here they are suffering from anemia.
Burj El Barajni camp provides housing for 17,000 Palestinians. The camp is densely populated. Every available piece of ground is built on, and the only way to create more living space is to go up. Mahida lives here with her mother-in-law, sister-in-law and their family. In all, 8 people in 2 rooms.
كمان هاد جزء ما بيشتغل يعني هون هلا الشعب الفلسطيني باي لحظه باي ساعه يعني اي شيء صار بيقلعوه لان لا لهم اراضي ولا لهم بيوت.
At any moment the Palestinians are going to be thrown out of Lebanon. They don't have anything. They don't have homes, they don't have land, they don't have anything. So they'll just pick them up and throw them out at any moment.
عندي 3 الصبيان
عم بيشتغلوا كلهم؟
لا هذول 2 قاعدين بس الولد.
There's only one working. My oldest son. And he works on and off.
يعني شغل قليل.
They don't work often.
بيشتغل يوم و10 وشهر بقعد. يعني ما فيش إمكانية.
My husband works for a day or maybe 10 and then sits at home for a month.
لا حق المرأة موجود ولا حق الزوج موجود ولا حق الطفل موجود.
Women don't have rights here. The husbands don't have the rights here. Children don't have rights here. I mean, look at the children. They don't have any rights whatsoever. And this is not what I want for my children.
كل شيء أتمنى إني أسافر قبل ما أخلف هون يعني.
I wish I could leave before I give birth because I want children's rights, my rights, and my husband's rights to be secured. And they don't have any of this here. We don't have any of this here.
Mahida expresses a widely held view. Almost half the UN-registered refugees have left Lebanon, going to any country that will treat them more kindly.
We don't see our Palestinian child as a normal child because he is deprived of so many rights. Young people can't go to school or work regularly. It's the same story for the old men. Over and over again, there are all these problems. So that's why anger and frustration happens and people demonstrate for their rights. Rights that have been recognized by all the nations of the world and by the UN resolutions.
الفلسطينيين المتواجدين في لبنان
There are over 300,000 Palestinians living in Lebanon. The Lebanese government are implementing laws and rules, banning them from having the right to work in 74 specific trades and professions.
كافة المؤسسات الدولية اللي قامت
All international organizations who have conducted detailed research into the socio-economic situation of Palestinian refugees in Lebanon have verified that over 65% of Palestinians live below the poverty line.
There is always pressure on the people living in the crowded Burj al-Barajni camp. Today, its very existence is under threat of total demolition.
انهيار عصبي مثل ما بيقولوا بطل واحد فيه يمشي الا ما بده ياخذ حبه مهدئ ان كان مره ولا زلمه.
You look around and there's people who are experiencing nervous breakdowns, everyone's depressed, and a lot of the older people adults can't walk out without taking antidepressants.
بعد ناطرين ليصيروا الاولاد هن اللي ياخذوا الحبوب المهدئه لان نفسيتهم اكيد حتتعب لما يشوفوا اهاليهم.
And what she says and what she's worried about is that the young children are going to be taking antidepressants and anti-anxiety pills soon because they're looking at their parents who are doing these things and they're looking at their parents who are depressed, and what else can they do?
بدي اقول لك ان الشغل هون مش لمين ما كان بيشتغل.
Work opportunities are not open to all. They're not available to all. As Palestinians, they don't have the right to work. They can work on piece wage on small things, but not enough to provide for their families.
يعني أما الشغلات الكبيرة اللي فيها مصاري كتير هاي لغيرنا مش لإلنا.
The real jobs are for other people, not for Palestinians.
So what then is the position of a Palestinian worker?
إذن شو وضع الشاغل الفلسطيني أو العامل الفلسطيني بلبنان؟ شو وضعه؟ كيف وضعه؟
يعني إجمالا هو وضع الفلسطيني هون بلبنان مقلب بيمشي حسب وضع السياسي.
It's fluctuating. It's continuously changing and undergoing change according to the politics of the country, of the government. Sometimes they're told that they are going to leave the country. They're going to be made to leave the country. Sometimes they're told that the camps are going to be wiped out. They're going to be closed down.
يعني الوضع الفلسطيني اللي عايش بالبلد دون مش عارف حاله شو بده يصير فيه آخر شيء بالنهاية.
So they feel emotionally and psychologically drained, and they don't know what to do to go on.
I do agree that they are not well treated. Well, there are so many reasons for that. Most prominent among them is that the Lebanese has sort of a sensitivity towards settling the Palestinians in Lebanon. This particular sensitivity that the Lebanese think that if the Palestinians are equally treated as the Lebanese, then this may induce them to settle here against the will of the Lebanese government, against the will of PLO, and against the resolutions of the Arab League.
The Arab League signed the Casablanca Protocol in 1965. It states that Palestinian refugees should be treated in the same way as citizens of the host country, but without being given citizenship. Lebanon is in breach of this resolution.
Our community here is living in devastation and poverty. And the thing is, they tell us that it's just because they want us to have the right to return. Well, of course we want to return. As refugees, the first thing we want to do is return home. For me personally, they tell me I can go back to Palestine and I'll go and live in a tent. So the idea that I should have civil and social rights has nothing to do with the right of return. I want those, even though I'm a refugee. And the thing is, we came here to a place where there's Arabs. We're not living amongst foreigners. We're living amongst other Arabs, and we're still not treated well. We're still isolated and treated badly. And after all the years that we've been here, we still don't have any rights whatsoever.
Palestinians living in refugee camps around Beirut are, however, better off than those in the camps in South Lebanon, like Burj el-Shamali, near the Israeli border. These camps are much more strictly controlled. Refugees are not allowed to build or even repair their houses.
The problem with this house is that the structure has been shaken, and there's nothing holding it. The pillars, there's nothing to hold it. There's no pillars, and the iron bars are rotting, so they're not giving it support either. And the thing is, we sleep here, and in winter we move all into this one room, and the next room floods, and we are constantly cleaning out water all day. And at night what we do is we use the trays and the bowls that we eat with, and we put them on top of the ceiling to collect the water, and still the rainwater comes into the rooms.
فروحنا قلنا له يا عمي تعالوا شوفوا انه مشكلتنا، طب معقول انه كلياتنا احنا ننام بغرفه وحده وكمان الغرفه بننام فيها كمان فيها مي بتنزل.
So we went back to UNRWA saying, what are you doing to us? You have to come see how we're living, and we're sleeping with water coming down on us.
UNRWA is the United Nations organization set up in 1949 to provide education, health, relief and social services to Palestinian refugees displaced by the Arab-Israeli conflict.
We are in contact with the government, and we hope that one day we will be able to fix it so that the refugees who need repair can be allowed to bring construction materials in these camps in the south.
Do you think that will happen?
Well, the decision is to the government, so that I cannot say if and when. But we are in contact with the government. We hope to be able to have an opening in this, because it is a humanitarian problem.
At 5 a.m, women and men gather in Burj el-Shamali camp, waiting for transport to take them to the orange groves. The only work available here for Palestinians is seasonal fruit picking. The day starts with passing the Lebanese guardhouse, which controls the entrance to their homes.
No.
وبشرفي اللي بيحكي معك قبطان باخر خريج الأكاديمية العربية للنقل البحري.
And he's a captain of a ship. He's graduated from.
مين بيصدق المنظر هذا لقبطان باخر؟
Who would believe this is a captain of a ship?
طلع أقل بني آدم هذول دارس فيهم بكون.
Most of the men here have vocational training. Like the man over here, he finished from a vocational center, and the other man that ran away.
وهون إذا بكون مخلص معه دكتوراه في الطب مش مسموح للشغل مسموح لك بالمجرفة.
Even if a person has a degree in medicine, he's only allowed to work legally in Lebanon with a pick and picking lemons. بدنا نسألك قد ايه بتطلعوا باليوم؟
10,500 ليرة.
10,500 liras.
يعني بس بتطلع لتجيبي خبزات بيتك بس.
So basically that's just enough to get your bread for the home.
رغم انه احنا الارض تبعنا هي موقع الديانة تبعهم يعني المسيح عنا.
Even though our land is the place for your religious leader.
أقل معدل يحترمون كرمال المسيح.
Jesus was born in our country. Jesus was born in our country, and if you love Jesus, then you would at least respect us for that. God will help us.
Back in Shatila camp, Beirut, this former PLO hospital became a refuge for displaced people during the camps war in 1986. Families have lived here, children have been born here, grown up here, trapped here by poverty.
Why are you here? Why are you taking pictures of us? Why are you filming us when you leave and then nothing happens? I've been to everybody, from the biggest dog to the smallest dog, and I've stretched my hand out to them for assistance, and nobody has helped. So when you come here, look at the health situation, look what's happening to us. Don't just take pictures of the disgusting homes and the walls. You have to know what's happening inside these homes.
الوضع عندي ولد مشلول والحالة الاجتماعية تعيسة جدا.
I just want to talk about my son who's 25 years old and he's crippled and nobody helps. UNRWA doesn't help, no other NGO helps. They don't provide a penny.
This house, 12 persons live here in this house. This man, this is my son, Hamid. Hello. Hi. He stay in this room 3 years, 4 years. One time I can head down. Yes.
UNRWA, do they not help?
UNRWA don't help.
Why?
I don't know.
Have you asked them?
I ask him, they say no money.
The budget for 2001 is $44.3 million. I cannot say that we have less money, but we have less money per refugee. It was $200 per refugee a couple of decades ago, $70 per refugee today. This, in addition to the increase of prices concerning services which we are providing the Palestinian for, of course, has created a certain strain on UNRWA capacity to tackle the needs.
The Palestinians do think, and the Lebanese as well, that UNRWA is decreasing its budget, especially on the educational and health levels, in order to pressure the Palestinians to accept settlement in the Arab countries where they are living now.
طبعا ما يكون واحد بأرضه غير لما يكون بأرض مش له يعني.
Of course, when a person is on his or own
بيزرع فيها كل من خيرها كل إشي فيها بأرضه حر هو. يعني هون ما فيك تعمل أي إشي، لا فيك تشتري أرض، لا فيك تزرعي، لا فيك تعمل إشي يعني بالمرة.
Whenever anyone is on his or her own land, then of course one is happy. It's different from being on somebody else's land. There you can grow your own crops, you can eat from your land. Here you can't buy land, you can't grow your own crops. So there's nothing, at least in your own country you can eat from the land.
ولا نزرع وناكل من الرزق من المال من القرح من كل شيء نزرع وناكل.
We want our villages. We want to go back to our villages. We want our villages, our entire country. We want to be able to go back and grow crops and eat from our land. And our water, it was plentiful and it was beautiful. It used to glisten, just like gold.
الأمم المتحدة أعطت أي شعب بالعالم حق النضال.
The United Nations has given all people of the world the right to fight for freedom. So the Palestinians have the right to struggle, to liberate their land, which they were kicked out of and not so long ago. Lebanon has nothing to do with our problem. Our problem is not just what we suffer in Lebanon. It's that we have been kicked out of our country and we need to know how to go back.
So you're unemployed?
Yes, and I'm not looking for a job either because it's pointless looking.
So you're suffering in the same way as all the other Palestinians we've been talking to?
Yeah, which is kind of ironic because I always thought I had all the fringe benefits and the extras that protected me, but it proved to be nothing in the end.